came into my room in the middle of the night and woke me up and just started kissing me and just molesting me pretty much. And I remember feeling disgusting and wanting to cry out for help, but it was almost like I was numb. But something in me knew this was not right.
Because of the trauma Jiba Tirado experienced as a child, she embraced pain and hardship as a new normal.
One of the things that I realized after the death of my parents is that there was no longer a covering. There was no longer my mom telling us whose house not to go to or protecting us. And so after both of them died, I ended up with one of my paternal uncles who had a son, an older son, who was 14 years old at the time, and I was 9. And I remember one afternoon, he was able to get me into the house by myself. And it is then that he started telling me about how beautiful I was and just really touching me inappropriately and looking at me and telling me that I had no one to tell because my parents were dead and that no one would believe me. When I did speak out, after a couple of days, I went to his parents. I actually got beaten for it, and I was called a liar, I was called a witch, and when he was questioned, he denied everything, which then allowed him to continue to rape me and molest me because no one believed my story.
Jiba continued to experience cycles of pain with no way out. But then she stepped into a church building and heard a song that changed her heart.
So after the rape and the molestation, I went away to Woodbridge, Virginia, to be with another older female cousin, because at this point, no one really wanted anything to do with me. So we attended church with her, and that specific summer, I remember being in this church, and I can't recall anything that the pastor talked about, but I remember at the end, the choir was singing about moving forward, not going back, and he started talking about Jesus. And I had been in church, I had heard about Christ, but he talked about it from the perspective of him dying on the cross for my sin, and that he was resurrected, and that through that I was gonna be reconciled to God, and that I was positionally right with him by accepting him into my life. And I just remember feeling that everyone else had abandoned me, and I don't think I had given God a chance. And so I could hear the enemy saying, no, your sins are too deep and nobody wants you, you're not wanted. Yet the gospel kept drawing me near, and I went to the altar and gave my life to Christ.
Jiba married the love of her life, who encouraged her to walk the road of forgiveness and reach out to the man who stole her innocence.
So I did message him, and I was really brief, and I just told him, hey, I just want to let you know, I always wonder what questions I would ask you or what I would say if I ever contacted you, but that's not really important. Just wanted to let you know that, I have forgiven you, and that even though what you did was senseless, God is using it for my good. And I remember saying some kind of scriptures in there, and he responded back very, very apologetic. It was very genuine. He was truly sorry. And even though he mentioned that he didn't have a walk with the Lord, and he was happy that I had found peace to Christ, but it was really a beautiful moment to see that I went from hating the individual to now praying for his soul and hoping that he does come to know Christ.
Jiba has now dedicated her life to helping others as a school teacher and shares her story in her book, Wounded to Win.
One of the reasons I think the Lord placed me in the classroom is because even though all of these things were happening in the background of my life, school was a safe place for me. There were teachers and coaches who were there for me more than my own family members, and they were able to cultivate the gift within me. And I believe writing the book Wounded to Win was the beginning of that. It is through me telling my story that I'm able to teach other people how to find purpose in pain, because pain, we all go through pain. It doesn't matter whether you are the CEO or the janitor, black, white, race does not matter. We all experience pain in one way or the other. And so to be able to talk about how to steward pain in a way that glorifies God, because most of us experience it and we often end up in anger. And so to be able to have that opportunity through a book to teach others about how to steward pain has been a blessing.